Looks like my mic is on. Shalom. Oh, let me do this real quick. Let me turn that off. I want to start this lesson off by giving all praises, honors, and glories due, as always, to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Rakah Kwadash. Alright, double honors to my teachers, the apostles, the elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Alright. Also to you sincere believers out there and you fellow laborers, a hearty shalom to you all, and may the blessing of election be upon you and your household. I'm going to start making this a habit. I have to remember to say my name in the beginning of my videos, but this is your brother Samak Ya'ala, new brother, young and new individual in the faith, and I'm from the GMSDC camp. I want to do a video about the Crusades. Now, you'll see where I go with this lesson. But let's see. So this happened a few days ago. I was watching. Excuse me. I was yawning. I was watching videos about the Crusade, and I didn't really sleep well last night. I've been having a couple sleepless nights. I don't know if it's the new Wi-Fi that I have, like the new router, if the signal is too much, but my sleep hasn't been as good as of lately. So, but anyways, a couple of days ago, I was watching a video about the Crusades, and I was going into the history about all of that. And there's a huge covering on why the Crusades happened, because normally I would say that it was because of Muslims, and whenever people hear Muslims, the first thing I think of is Ishmaelites, Arabs, right? That's what they think of, Arabians, which is not true, because anybody can convert to the religion of Islam. You had our people that left the law, statutes, commandments, and converted to Islam, right? You also had Edomites that converted to Islam. You had Elamites, Persians, that converted to Islam, and you still see the effects in this modern age, right? If we go over there to Persia, to Pakistan, and all these different East Indian countries, Islam is like one of the huge main religions over there. So, history, or as I say, Scripture says there's no new thing under the sun. So that thing that was before shall be there now, right? But the Crusades, it was a time of us, the Israelites, right? During this time in the medieval period, we were defending ourselves from the Edomites. And I'm going to show you guys what the Crusades were really about. Because and it's not I'm not saying it's something that you have to know, but there's a huge misconception, or let me not say a misconception. There's like a masked truth about what the Crusades were all about, right? They'll say that it's because the Ishmaelites did this, blah blah blah. But when you get deep into the history, okay, you find out that the people who we were really crusading against weren't Ishmaelites. They were actually Edomites that were following the religion of Islam. And these same people were the progenitors, right? They were the predecessors. That's the better word for it. The predecessors to the Ottoman Empire. So you see that there's a link. There's a connection. There's a link. Okay, and I'm gonna tie it all in. Within the scriptures. So let's go ahead and read this article here. It says the Crusader states, Crusades from World History Encyclopedia. The Crusades were a series of military campaigns organized by popes and the Christian Western powers to take Jerusalem and the Holy Land back from Muslim control. Now, don't bug out when you see this word Muslim, because this whole crusade thing, it divided our people. Like I said, you had Israelites that followed Islam, okay, but they were not the ones who initiated the Crusades, okay. It was Edomite on J Crime, and later on in the video, I will show you what I mean, okay. There were 8 major official crusades. The first one began in 1095 by the Pope Urban II, a very famous pope. He became famous for the speech that he made in France, in Germany, okay, in Spain. He made these very, very motivating speeches, okay, that captivated the souls of our people. Although there were many crusades, none would be as successful as the first, because the first crusade was one we really put the squeeze, okay, on the Islamic world, okay. And then after that, that's when the Arabic world started organizing themselves betterly, not betterly, better as a cohesive unit. And the Crusader created states in the Middle East were absorbed into the Mamluk Sultanate. Okay, the idea of crusading was applied more successfully for Christians to other regions, notably in the Baltic against European pagans and in the Iberian Peninsula against the Muslim Moors. Now, the Crusades against the Muslim Moors, okay, the kings at that time were Israelites, okay, the kings that ruled in Christian Spain. They weren't Edomites, they were actually Jake, okay. But the problem was, or I guess you could say a problem was, that the Christian Jakes were more lenient towards the Edomites that were in Spain at that time. The Muslim Moors and the Sephardic Jews, they were known for putting Edomites into slavery and just selling them off. So the Christians, the Christian Jakes were like, look, if you're a Christian and I'm a Christian, you don't have to fear us putting you into slavery, and that's why you had a lot of Edomites that rallied uh, to that side. against the Mongols, against the Persians, the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, and even the Edomites, because Armenia is a very crucial uh, entry point into Europe from Central to Western Asia. Okay, says here the so where was I? I was on that paragraph. Let's see. Using ancient Harput, modern Elazic as its base, Diogenes crossed the Euphrates, the classic demarcation of east and west, to confront the Seljuk army on the field of Manzikert, north of Lake Van in 1071. Although they vastly outnumbered the irregular Turkish horsemen, the Byzantine Christian troops could scarcely have selected a worse venue. So this is going into the battles that were fought. Okay, let me jump down. Remarkably, the Seljuks did not drag the beaten Diogenes back home in victory, but released him for a ransom and cession of Byzantine land, and re-entered a period of often uneasy peace with Constantinople again. Indeed, the two forces actually stood together against the Mongol invasion of the 13th century, but it was a vain defense, as neither Christian nor Muslim, right, were spared the sword as the Mongol hordes rolled across the steppe into Anatolia, and everyone suffered. Edomites suffered, Israelites suffered, the Elamites suffered, the Ishmaelites suffered. I mean, those Mongols were whooping everyone's asses. Okay. The reigns of Alp Arslan and his son Malik Shah were the most glorious years of the great Seljuks of Isfahan. The death of the latter marked the decline of the great Seljuk Turks, and by 1192 the dynasty ended in the same obscurity with which it had begun. Unable to cope with the pressures from the Crusaders, the Caliph and the new Turkoman clans arrived from the east due to the increasing power of the Mongols, yada yada yada. So, now that we got out the way, we established who the Seljuk Turks are. Um, I just want to point out that all throughout history, man, our people have been, fighting against Edom, the Edomites. And back then, right, the Christian popes, as wicked as they were, they knew that we couldn't allow these Edomites to just kill our people and get away with it. That's why they formed the Crusades, to pretty much protect. Okay, that's what it initially was for, to protect uh, Israelites that were going into the Holy Land from these Edomite Turks that were just killing our people. Okay, now let me go ahead and get the scripture. This is Genesis, the 25th chapter, right? And that hatred going all the way back to Cain and Abel has played out in various different quote unquote nations. And what I mean by nations, I'm talking about different nationalities that these two races have taken on, the Edomites and the Israelites. We have during the Middle Ages we called ourselves the Germans, the Italians, which we created those names, the French, the Franks, okay, the Germanias, all right, the Spaniards, we created that name, the Spaniards. We called ourselves the Russians, okay, all these different names. And you had the Edomites that called themselves what? The Khazars, okay, the Seljuk Turks, the Ottoman Turks, all throughout history, okay? And we were always fighting against each other. There was never a time in history where we were not fighting. Why? Because it goes all the way back, okay, to the hatred, okay, that the Lord has put between us. That enmity that was set, first in the garden with the serpent, which was a man, and then the woman, which was really the nation of Israel. Okay, all right. So there's always been this animosity between us, and the Edomites. And once you come into this knowledge, this truth, you start to see that more and more. Now, our people, if only they knew the history of their forefathers, that's why the scripture says, prepare thy search and inquire of thy fathers, you know, because in doing this, you'll be able to see similarities with what's going on today. There's a saying in the world that history repeats itself, right? The scripture says there's no new thing under the sun. That which is then has been, and that which was before has already been, and there's no new thing under the sun. So if it happened in the past, it's going to happen in the future, and these events will always reoccur. Why? Because it's the same souls coming back, through reincarnation. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I'm gonna go ahead and close the lesson now. I'm not gonna make this too long, or bring out super, billion precepts or whatever. But I just wanted to point this historical fact out, something that I looked up. So this is Genesis 25, verse 22. Okay, and the children struggled together within her. Okay, and I've never done this before, but I want to see what it says in the blue letter when it says struggled. Okay, when the children struggled within her. Let's look it up. Struggle. Rasas. No, we're good. And it says to crush, to oppress. Okay, to crush each other. Wow. So we were crushing each other. We were bruising each other. We were oppressing each other, and that was in the womb. Before they came out of their mother's womb, we were oppressing each other. Struggle to crack in pieces. So this was actually a real fight that was going on. It was a real fight. And I bet Rebecca was probably bleeding and whatnot, and she was having pain in her stomach, because this wasn't no ordinary struggle. This was actually, we were trying to kill each other. Okay, and this was back then. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" Right? If it be that that I have these two wonderful children, why is it that they're fighting to kill each other? Verse 23, and the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb. So this was the separation. The Lord told her, like, look, there are two sets of people, two different spirits within you, okay, within your bowels. And two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. Okay, right? And when the days were to be delivered, were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and these twins came out to be Esau, or how they say Esau, right? How the small heads say Esau, and Jacob, okay, the progenitor of the Israelites, and Esau, the progenitor of the Edomites, because his name was changed to Edom, okay, which means out of one, which means red, okay. So there you go. Uh, let me go ahead and get the scripture right here. I did have one more scripture that I wanted to get in mind. Let me get this because I quoted this earlier, Ecclesiastes, right? Uh, okay, here, Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9. Oh, okay. It says here, forgive me, forgive me. The thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, right? And there is no new thing under the sun. So all these different characters came back, all these different souls, they came back, and they're warring against each other. Okay, But the problem is, majority of our people, especially the 2/3, they don't know that they are in a war against Edom. Some of them may know, but you know the war that they're fighting is a carnal war, which cannot be won. You can't win a carnal war against the man himself, the man who was given the power to kill. Okay, the man who was given power over the sword. You can't win that carnal war. Scripture says the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. All right, but a mighty in pulling down the strongholds, and the strongholds that we pull down are the lies that this man has put in place in this society. So we are fighting a spiritual war first, okay? Because the scriptures talks about you know the uh, the fishers going and fishing, and then later on the fishers will turn into hunting, and they'll start hunting. Okay, all the wicked from the nooks and crannies of the earth. Okay, we are waiting for the power first in order for us to really, uh, uh, give that ass whooping down, for lack of better words. Verse 10: Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? No. Okay, history repeats itself. It has been already of old time, which was before us. Okay, verse 11: There is no remembrance of former things. Okay, this is why we can't remember the things that we have done in our past. We may get glimpse of it, right? Glimpses, but we won't remember the full details. Neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that should come after. So there you go. Things of the past and things that are to come, the future. Okay. There won't be remembrance of those things too. So, that's all I wanted to say about, the Crusades. Uh, you know, history repeats itself. Okay. All throughout history you'll always find, a theme like this where two nations are just, fighting against each other. And this is one of the rare occasions where I looked into, the Crusades and what they were about. And I found out that, look, man, the Crusades happened because these Edomites were killing our people, and we decided to form this military campaign to protect one another. But the problem with that is because, like I said, you had a lot of Israelites that were following Islam, so it divided the nation. Okay, when the Islamic Edomites, the Seljuk Turks, pretty much launched a jihad and was asking support from the Islamic world, you were forced to defend those people because you guys were of the same religion. All right, that's where the confusion comes from. That's why if you look on the icons, you'll see some Muslims that look very dark, like Negroes and whatnot, because you had Israelites that were forced to come in the defense of the Edomites, and then and different icons that I've seen icons of Muslims that look like straight up Edomites, bro, and those were the Seljuk Turks. Okay, the main root of the problem, the offscouring of the earth. Those Edomites that started the Crusades, and it caused a lot of death to happen during that medieval period, plagues and famines. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this lesson out, giving all praises, honors, and glories due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Harabal Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, and peace, blessings, and salutations, as always, to the elect scattered abroad, wherever you may be. Alright, to you all, I say Shalom.